Hey, so I'm really excited to do another food log assessment, and I'll probably do a couple per week right now, just because it's the most important thing to really learn about during this process. So, in the beginning, I'm going to do more of them more than other things. So, I want to bust this out real quick. So, I really loved this, and this is a good opportunity to see just how to adjust and add in some things, because you could still be in the right calorie bracket, because I want you around 1,800 calories. So you did pretty good with the calorie range, but sometimes even though we hit the calorie range that we should be in, the macro ratios are off, because our carbs, fats, and proteins grams calculate into calories. And you'll learn about this in one of your modules, but briefly I talk about how calories calculate, or how macros calculate into calories. So you're pretty quickly I'll say it, but your protein and carb grams are 4 calories per gram, but fat calories are higher. They're 9 calories per gram. So that's why small doses of fat dense foods like nuts and oils and butters, it's super easy to do a low or like a small amount and have it higher calorie because it's high fat. So those are the things to pay closest attention to in these beginning phases, because it'll easily have us go over our fat grams. So even though you were in the same, or the calorie bracket that you should have been in, your fat grams were really high. And that's because of the almonds. Basically the almonds. You did have butter and cream cheese in your dinner meal, but that's okay. If you would have, so I'll start from the top. So your breakfast was great. It's great that you added in some fats to your breakfast with the egg, because otherwise you're going to be really hungry very quickly shortly after that. So it was more of a balanced breakfast with your protein and fats. And I would have just added in something like a serving of fruit or even toast. Would have been great. And you could have put a little jelly and butter on it too. It would have been totally fine, because then you could have gone 4 or 5 hours without eating anything, because you had sufficient calories and macros for your breakfast. Okay, so for your lunch, the only thing I would have done is the almonds. Like I mentioned, those are things you got to pay close attention to. So cut that portion in half and add in, you could have added in some one protein dense item, so a Greek yogurt, or you could make like a tuna salad, and it would have been great. It would have added in more protein and it would have kept you fuller for longer. So you would have cut down the almonds in half, so it would have cut down those fat calories and gave you more calories to put towards adding in protein. And you could have even added in a carb dense item in there, because your carbs were pretty low for the day. So you could have added in, you could have even made like a sandwich with tuna on it. And tuna is super high protein. I like to mix a lot of seasoning and Miracle Whip with it, or you can mix it with Greek yogurt as a base, and it's super high protein. So that would have been better with your macros, and probably would have kept you fuller. Even if you weren't hungry, it just would have been better with the getting in more protein and even another carb serving. And for your dinner was fine. It could have been stayed that way, because at the end of the day, you still would have been around the same calories, but your macros would have been different, and your protein would have been higher, and your fats would have been lower, and your carbs would have been a little higher because they were lower, but you still would have been in the right calorie bracket. So I hope that helps, and be sure to make a protein list of the proteins that were on the module. Just write down the ones that are your favorites and start working with them, and I'll give you ideas of ways to make things taste better and to do different things with them. But sorry, even for your dinner, you could have added in one protein dense item like chicken. Small, I think it's 4 ounces of chicken is like 28 grams of protein or something. So you could do like 2 servings of that, which is a really small amount of chicken, and get in a ton of protein. So those are things to always have on hand: chicken, tuna, Greek yogurt, things like that. And you can make them in a lot of different ways and just add them in your day. And they're leaner proteins, and you'll get in enough protein for the day, because everybody always is low on protein and higher in their fats and or carbs. So that's why we want to switch that around. But this is awesome. This was a great chance to show you just how to do different portions and to add in X, Y, and Z. So I hope this helps, and let me know if you have any questions.